Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk on Let's Debate. Tonight we will be discussing the Epstein files. Joining me so far tonight, I have Sweet Pea, Drew, Sparrow, and Alex, and we will be diving deep into whether the Epstein files should be released, who we think's in them, and why we think they haven't been released. So we're ready to start. Go ahead, guys. Let's talk about this.
Well, if y'all are okay with it, I figured I would jump in with an article written by our own Elijah Rivera of Let's Debate and our Discord server, because he has an entire article that he has written on his Substack, which I'm sure we can get tossed in the doobly doo down below at some point
Well, that sounds
for
like a
people to
good
go and
plan.
read. So if y'all are okay with it, I will go with that. I will try to not read it word for word. I'll try and give some broad strokes, touch on some salient points, and maybe offer some of my own interpretations. Not necessarily because I've worked in federal prisons, but I do actually happen to have a little bit of experience in the criminal justice system, working as a correctional officer for the state of Texas in the past. I don't do that anymore. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Uh, so Elijah first wants to make sure that all credit is known and goes towards a man by the name of Ryan Dawson. He has been studying the Epstein case and everything along with it since 2007. So that's the better part of 20 years of research. I think people should take a look and see what this Ryan Dawson has to say. So, in what many would call political suicide, the Department of Justice under the Trump administration concluded that Epstein had no client list and that he committed suicide. And this was their statement from July 7th of 2025. Quote, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. Quote, there was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So this ostensibly uh, leaves anyone on Epstein's client list as potentially not being pursuable under law at all, or that at least Trump's DOJ has no intentions of doing so. This could play into what I'm sure we'll end up discussing later about Ghislaine Maxwell as this video goes on. Of worthy of note is that one thing is supplied as a video of what is called a SHU, a special housing unit, at the federal facility at which Epstein was supposedly incarcerated, or was incarcerated, excuse me. It was time stamped at 4/16/20. It jumps directly from 11:58 p.m. to 12 a.m. They assert that every single video at that facility has that roughly missing minute and 2 seconds. Elijah's of the opinion that they will not be able to prove that in future updates regarding their own conclusion. He thinks they're probably going to be chasing their own tail and not being able to keep track of all the lies told to maintain the conspiracy, so to speak. So they claim this is not. They also claim it's not raw footage, as the DOJ stated, saying that the footage was modified. Though whether or not it's modified, if it's just cropped down or format changed, because CCTV footage records in weird formats, I personally don't necessarily see a problem with that per se. But why don't we stop on that for a moment and talk about that for a bit?
Okay.
It's a long article, so we have a lot to get through.
Okay. So, what are your opinions on that? Since you're actually doing the reading, volume is low
Uh,
on YouTube. I can bring that up a little bit.
Okay. So my personal opinions on this are if the footage was modified, it's not immediately a bad thing because, like I was stating a moment ago, um, using editing tools like Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, which is really common for YouTube these days, you can, if you change the file format from whatever is recorded to on these CCTVs to a format readable or visual to every other device on the planet, because DVRs don't tend to record in MP3, MP4, or even just a standard WMA file.
They tend to go
They just
move.
don't. Right. They tend to go move,
Yeah.
and not everything can read a .mov file or even an MKV file. So even if you just convert the file, which no, you don't have to use a professional editing suite to do, but if you want to do it and preserve resolution and preserve the integrity of the video, you kind of have to, because you need to run it through a piece of software that can use the full horsepower of whatever computer you're feeding this file through to make sure it's converted as close to losslessly as possible. So in that event, that's already modifying the footage.
Yes.
Uh, so it's no longer raw. So I think that can be kind of that's going to be a sticking point for a lot of people, because everything is modified. We're modifying our own raw footage going to YouTube right now. Dozens of different little modifications are happening between me looking at my camera and it showing here in EvMux and then broadcasting to YouTube.
And
Right?
doing what I'm
Is
doing
that,
here is modifying it even further because we are meeting on EvMux, but I'm broadcasting from OBS. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
So all of these things
but
are modifications
hold
of
on.
footage.
What's up, Alex?
Go ahead.
yeah, but I mean, like, there's a bit of a difference between like editing something, like cutting out bits, and like converting it from one file type to another. There's a big difference there. Doesn't matter if it's raw or not that we're talking about.
Right, but I have to push back with you on that one a little bit, Alex, because unless you have access to a pretty extensive digital forensic suite as well as access to the raw footage itself, you're not going to be able to tell the difference whether it was edited and stuff cut out or they just changed the file type. So, in essence, modification is modification is modification. It doesn't matter what's done. The fact that it's visible on the internet for people to see is modification of the footage. Whether or not they edited it
Yeah, but
is something wholly separate, which we can't prove. We can only prove that a modification happened to make it where people can see it. That's the extent that we can prove anything about the footage itself. We can make suppositions all day long, but as far as a definitive statement, that's an impossibility given the circumstances.
Yeah, but I mean, like the forensic tool you're talking about doesn't need some supercomputer in a lab. I can literally run it on my laptop if I wanted to. Well, I mean, I don't want it because it takes up a lot of space and stuff, but you understand what I mean. So, I
I
don't
understand what
know.
you mean. I understand what you mean. I'm just saying the digital forensics tool would only be able to tell you what file pathway it took. It wouldn't be able to tell you what actions were taken inside of something like Adobe Premiere Pro. It would only be able to tell you that at some point its metadata says it was in Adobe Premiere Pro. You can't go further than that unless you also have the original raw footage, the original file before it was put into Premiere Pro. You cannot prove anything
Yeah,
past the
but
fact that it was put into
That
Adobe.
that absolutely makes sense.
And
If you don't
so
have the raw file, the
right,
data's
you can't
already been
demonstrate anything happened
changed.
at all.
Yeah, it's already been
Only,
changed.
you can only demonstrate that a modification happened.
Right.
It could have just been a file. It could have just been a file type, file conversion. It is what I'm saying,
To be
and that
honest,
is still modification. Metadata wise, it would look the same.
if it's only a minute and 2 seconds that's missing, it would be really hard for a couple of guys to run into a cell and hang another guy in 62 seconds. Just,
It kind of
it's
would
not
be. Yeah,
impossible,
what's
but it
trying
would be really difficult.
no.
to
But the thing is, the door
that
itself, doesn't have a viewing window that can be seen by the camera. So in that 62 seconds, yes, someone could, two people could have gotten into the cell and started the strangulation process to make it look like a prison hanging. And then if all that's provided is these 4-ish minutes of footage, well, they can just exit at a later time and just stay in there with Jeffy E's corpse for a while. I mean, they didn't have any. If this happened, they wouldn't have had any qualms going in there and offing the guy. Why would it bother them to have a little weekend at Bernie's time before they go?
only bits like they don't need to cut out the bit where they're in the cell. They only have to cut out the bits where they're going in and when they're leaving.
Right.
Nothing
Yeah, there's
else.
no window on that cell. Even though now you've been a correction officer, Drew, and I have been an inmate before at a point in my life. And I've never been in a suicide watch cell, but that's where Jeffrey Epstein was. And that cell has a guarded camera in it, as far as I know.
Right, which is stated that the camera inside the actual housing unit itself was malfunctioning. Now,
Oh,
one thing.
and-
Now, one thing I will say, I cannot speak for federal facilities, but I will say this when it comes to Texas. Uh, I worked at a unit in kind of the north central Texas region. I won't say specifically which one, mostly for my own privacy, but also because, well, things could have changed. Things could have gotten better at that facility, and I hope that they did. Um, but there were plenty of housing units, both in what in Texas is called ADSEG or administrative segregation, and the rest of the unit, in which cameras are routinely malfunctioning. They need servicing. The lenses are fogged out or blown out, and they're not actually recording anything but blurs that you couldn't tell who did what, or even that it was human, um, or they just don't function at all. And that kind of information is well known. On top of that, maintenance in prisons is routinely bad. It is routinely not well maintained. Now, this can vary from state to state. This may be different at the federal level. There may be differing regulations governing how these systems are required to function or how much relative uptime they have to maintain. But in Texas, because there is no relative uptime statute for how long each individual system must remain active, they stay broken for a long time. Like for instance, the entirety of my career, which was not very long um, due to an injury, but the entirety of my career, I can name at least three specific cameras that had not been functioning before my arrival, did not function during my time there, and speaking with friends who were still COs after I left for at least the 6 months to a years after my departure, still did not function.
well,
So, as
let me
far
just
as whether maintenance problems are commonplace, does that excuse that there was not a functioning camera in a suicide watch cell?
no,
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 it doesn't.
and
But that does not make it a conspiracy.
the one in the suicide watch cell where I was behind bulletproof plexiglass.
Mhm.
So that yeah, I mean, the worst thing that an inmate could do would probably be wipe some feces on it to hide. But as soon as they did that, the guards are watching that.
Right, and as soon as that happens, guards are coming to that
Oh
cell
yeah,
to clean that off, and at that point potentially restrain the offender because,
absolutely.
well, at that point they have made an attempt to conceal their movements within the inside of that cell. So generally speaking, the use of force continuum is you must escalate at least a little bit from free reign inside of the cell to now you are confined or restrained to your bed, um, because you have attempted to conceal something for your safety and the safety of others. You need to be restrained.
Okay.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
What's next in there? I mean, we've probably beaten that technical
Oh well, yeah,
thing
we've
to
beaten this
death.
one. We've beaten this horse to death plenty. So
Well, if
Wait,
uh,
go ahead, Alex.
sorry, something I wanted to bring up that I've seen, no, not many people have mentioned. The thing is that I remember until about almost a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, Epstein files were still considered like a conspiracy kind of type of deal. Like people didn't believe it as a mainstream thing. And like even until a few months ago, I didn't know the full extent of everything. Well, not a few months ago. Well, when the list was leaked, the redacted list was leaked. last year. That's when I started learning about
Okay. As far as that goes, I mean, there's not really a lot of provenance on that redacted list. Um, as far as where it came from within the Epstein files, because a list is a list is a list. For all we know, that could have been a list of people that Jeffrey Epstein just didn't like and wrote down the names of
it.
people he didn't like.
It could have been people that owed him money.
It could have been people that owed him money. It could have been people that he wanted to attempt to bribe or that he wanted to bring into his inner circle but had not done so yet. The problem with that particular list, and this is not to say that anybody on that list is a friggin' saint or anything. I'm sure they're not. But the issue is, unless we have that document, that specific list, one, unredacted, and two, actually viewed in situ, in place, with the rest of the documents that are surrounding it to try and give it context. Only then can we even
Okay, what
suppose what that means. What
exactly?
that means. What, Alex?
What exactly are the files like?
All right. Well,
How were they found?
the files are the collection of it's a collection of a lot of things, like grand jury testimony. It's a lot of things. It's everything that they collected, and some of it is definitely not applicable to the case at all.
No.
And like, okay, if they were investigating somebody for a crime and that person had a black book or anything with some numbers, then they're going to go investigate all of those people who may not have been involved in that crime in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot. I mean, if you release like completely release the files, there's going to be a lot of innocent people that are going to get caught up in that.
Agreed. Like for instance, Al Capone was known to keep handwritten enemies lists.
Right, and they are
These are
not
people that he
definitely not people that are working with him.
right. They were definitely people that weren't working with him. But he also went so far as to I can't remember if it was Capone or if this was uh, either the Gotti family or one of the Lucchese crime families. Uh, were known for attempting to essentially maintain fabricated evidence, false ledgers of bribes paid to officials that they did not like or that had campaigned against them or had tried to investigate them in an attempt that if they did go down, that during a warrant search, they would find all of this, and this would be added as part of discovery to a case, and potentially poison the well of evidence that the prosecution had to pull from at trial.
That's not a bad
I mean,
idea.
yeah, so it's like if the Italian crime families can think of the things like this going back at least 40 or 50, if not more years, um, is someone like Epstein would probably have poison pills in his documents.
Well,
Because what happens in a situation like this is once a search warrant is executed, they take anything and everything. It doesn't
oh yeah,
matter what it is.
yeah.
And anything and everything is potentially evidence. Anything and everything is potentially useless. That's kind of the carrot and the stick uh, when it comes to searching for evidence, when it comes to executing a search warrant. Because believe it or not, I actually have a
Okay,
background in education of criminal
so
justice.
so where exactly does Ghislaine Maxwell come into the story?
Oh,
I
she's
keep hearing that.
yeah.
So I think we'll get to that
We
a
will.
little later.
We will.
But to give you kind of a 10,000 foot flyover, Ghislaine Maxwell is one essentially confirmed to have been at least the partner
Yep.
of
Co-conspirator.
co-conspirator, partner of, possibly romantically entangled with Jeffrey Epstein.
And she was definitely a
Um,
recruiter, because that's
yeah,
basic.
and
She got convicted of trafficking.
yeah, she was convicted of human trafficking and potentially educating um, minor children, people under the age of 18, below the age of consent, in how to engage in, perform, and adequately please their partner in sex acts. She is not what I would consider to be a pleasant person. Uh, that said, that's like I said, kind of the 10,000-foot flyover. I'm sure Farm is going to have a lot more for us to dig into on her later on.
Yeah.
We're going to skip over some of the things about between 2016 and 2019 because this covers aspects of how things worked, how people got to and from Epstein Island. Um, but essentially, what I will point out is that the majority of tracked visitors appeared to be from, or at least originating from, wealthy neighborhoods in states specifically mentioned Florida, Massachusetts, Texas, Michigan, and New York. Uh, so, yeah. Um, One of their procurers, a woman named Sarah Kellen, was pressured to testify about a massage book that Epstein and Maxwell logged for massages, which ostensibly were sexual massages that Epstein used for himself and as a treat to his clients. Kellen was deposed, referenced in myriad legal documents, though public records don't indicate that she voluntarily gave a full explicit list of all individuals who received such massages to authorities, and she repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment right and declined to answer questions about specific details. Maxwell gave the DOJ a list of about 100 names. Um, because of that, she is now getting a step towards being pardoned, or at least having a more lax prison sentence.
Oh, she's already been moved to Camp Fed
Yeah,
in Texas.
Yep, she's been moved to a minimum medium security facility.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's like
and
camping.
yeah, it basically is. I worked at a medium security facility in Texas. We did have maximum security wings. We had low security wings, but the majority of the unit is medium security. It's not the greatest thing in the world. You're not like in just a big dorm with a bunch of people. You are generally confined to a cell. But again, these policies, practices can be different from state to state. I have heard of other states that even in medium security, there are 4 people to a cell instead of 2. So it really just kind of varies.
In minimum security in Pennsylvania, you are allowed out of your cell for up to 16 hours a day.
Yeah,
So-
in medium security, you can stay out of your cell pretty much from from the first count after morning chow to rack time,
Yeah,
which is
so
usually 10 p.m. in Texas.
it's not a tough gig.
No, it's not the toughest gig.
No.
It's not easy by any means, but it's also not the absolute toughest.
So Sweet Pea has a question. Come on, ask your question.
Hey everyone. So why isn't more people questioning Trump flying on the Lolita and his subsequent purchase of said plane transporting people to Epstein Island and other places?
Well, I'm pretty sure Trump would just claim that he bought it because he got a good deal on it.
Yeah, that would probably be the way he would try to dismiss it, truth be
Yeah.
told.
It was cheap.
Like, yeah. I mean, well, no, like, here's the thing, though. This farm is making a joke of it, but we've seen it done before, not necessarily by Trump, but by people like him. For instance, there is a very well-known televangelist by the name of Kenneth Copeland out of Houston, Texas, that bought the private jet of sorry, not Alex, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, yes, the guy of Medea fame. Kenneth Copeland bought his private jet, which I believe was like a 727. It was a huge plane, and his claim for it was that, well, one, God wanted him to have it, and 2, that he got a good deal on it. That Tyler basically gave him the plane. He didn't pay him much of anything, although it later came out he spent over $30 million on it. So,
Well, that's pocket change to him.
Yeah, talk about a rounding error. Jesus.
Yeah. So what's next in the file that we have, the document? What's next up?
Something
Well, go ahead.
something I want us to discuss later is um, the Epstein files, if it does get released, what kind of impact will it have internationally? Because apparently there are a lot of international celebrities in there.
Well, there were quite a few international people on the flight
I
logs.
honestly,
Yeah.
and I honestly think anybody and everyone who is on that list needs to be held accountable, regardless of who they are.
Yes, but I mean, like Prince Andrew. Do you really think he's going to get into trouble?
Who? King
Prince
Andrew.
Nobody
You
Prince
mean?
should be.
Prince
He should.
Andrew. Yeah,
And Andrew should be held. Yeah,
Oh no,
he
it's King
should be held
Charles. Yeah.
accountable like everybody else on that list.
Agreed.
agreed.
Mm, agreed, he should be, but is he though? That's my question.
Well, I'm going to say this, that I mean, some criminals probably do keep lists, client lists, like drug dealers. I mean, it may not be
Yeah.
like on a piece of
Bookies.
paper with it written down, or bookies. They might have it stored somewhere else. But I think it would be extremely weird for people committing these particular kinds of crimes to keep a list.
Not
Yeah, you
necessarily
memorize. Uh,
because well, you try to memorize things like that, and eventually, yeah, you're going to see who your frequent flyers are, so to speak. But at the same time, like while initially a list may seem crazy to us now, when you think about it in the moment, when the Lolita Express starts flying, when Epstein Island first kind of takes off, so to speak, you have to look at it from the perspective of what do you do in that situation where you suddenly have some of the most powerful people on the planet and richest people on the planet suddenly coming to you to solicit you for access to essentially sex slaves. You have to do something to protect yourself. So you operate under the same principle that Reagan and the United States did with the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and that is mutually assured destruction. We have
or like,
both countries maintained enough nukes to be able to burn each other 3 times over, and still have a couple left over to kick the cockroaches in the ass on the way out the door. Epstein keeping a list
it's
like this would serve in much the same way. He probably thought it would help keep
yeah.
him
I mean,
alive
like,
if something happened. And so, in essence, if he goes down, he gets to take all of them with him. It's not necessarily an act of pure self-preservation. It's an act of my game will run longer if these people think that I'm a threat and don't know the nature of
I
the threat.
mean, it's like I think the Hoover files. They're called that FBI director that ordered blackmail tapes on
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, the Hoover files. Yes, it's the same basic principle. Although Hoover was never actually quiet about that. He never kept those really private or anything of that nature. The things he did with them, he tried to keep somewhat private. But in large part, he thought he was acting under the moral turpitude of the United States government, and that he had the right to do those things because he was ostensibly protecting his country or what he thought his ideal of this country was. Epstein, I would look at under the same way of any other criminal enterprise, like a bookie or a drug dealer. Drug dealers, yeah, probably keep memorized lists of who their customers are because they're standing on a street corner. They may be selling to the same people. They're not really trying to grow their business or anything like that. But once you get to the tune of someone like, say, Pablo Escobar, where you are essentially making so much money that you don't notice millions being eaten by rats because you have so much cash stored in different caves and houses and warehouses. You're moving so much product, but you still need to maintain some level of operational security. And the OPSEC there is knowing who you're selling to, but also maintaining records of who you're selling to. Because Escobar also kept records of who he sold to. That's how we know that he was part of the Air America campaign with smuggling cocaine out of Colombia into the United States. That's part of how we know that the CIA was doing that, is because he kept meticulous records. And so criminals keeping records to maintain either A, their operational security, or B, a level of mutually assured destruction because they know at some point the game will be over, in an effort to burn the game board on the way down with the ship. It makes sense. It makes sense for Epstein to keep a list like this. Um, I think it would probably have been somewhere more personal, or maybe stored a little bit different. But you never really know with situations like this. You really just don't.
Yeah.
But kind of digging in a little bit more on the article, there are potentially uh, a lot of people like to try and make this tie to Israel, especially the Netanyahu government, between Epstein and Netanyahu, especially recently because Netanyahu did visit the White House and met with Trump on July 7th, shortly before this press release was given out, and it was allegedly to discuss plans of a ceasefire in Gaza. Nobody knows exactly what happened there, aside from the fact that it was reported that he left quietly without making a formal statement the next day, on July the 8th. People question what was the rush for? Why were there no announcements on any progress made on diplomacy? Why was it being so secret and things like that? I personally think that this is more kind of obfuscation and trying to, not necessarily on Elijah's behalf or really anybody's. I think it's a red herring. I think people are missing the forest for the trees, trying to grasp at any little tangential thing and run with it, when our main focus should be not on, was Epstein a Mossad agent running a child sex ring on behalf of the Israeli government.
Let me say something real quick. Sorry about the silence there for a second, guys. I didn't realize that muting myself would mute the whole stream. Really sorry about that.
Oh man, how long ago?
I have no idea, because I tried to just mute myself and it muted the entire stream. So
oh crap!
I am really sorry about that to our audience. I did not know that it would do that.
Oh Jeebus!
I apologize profusely.
So I'm going to roll back to what you asked about lists and just like briefly blitz through that. Yes, it makes sense for Epstein to have kept a list of his clientele, if for no other reason than to operate under the same principle of mutually assured destruction that the U.S. did with the Soviet Union with nukes, or the same reason that Pablo Escobar kept meticulous records, because of the scale he was doing business. It's because of some of Escobar's records we have proof that Air America was running cocaine from Colombia into the United States, and actually specifically targeting black and other minority neighborhoods, and thus creating
Okay. Well, Spooky Bed Hair says it wasn't muted, and Robin Webster has a question. Why are we connecting Epstein to the Israeli government?
The thing is, I'm not trying to connect Epstein to the Israeli government. This article makes suppositions about that. I think maybe Elijah is just trying to explore every possibility that Dawson brings up. Though, truthfully, I think it's a red herring. I think it's something that we really shouldn't focus on or pay too much attention to. The focus should be on actually getting the files released as close to unredacted as possible, and in their original format as far as how they were found, what groups of documents were found together, so that we know what context that original redacted list came from.
For me, the only redactions that should be in that list
are the names of the kids.
Is the names of the victims, yeah. Oh, and Robin Webster wanted to know, is that because he was Jewish?
So yes, people try to make that line of connection because Epstein, yes, it is a traditionally Jewish name. It is an ethnically Jewish name.
Is that it?
Also this,
but what you were going through was the stuff in that Substack article, right?
Yes, I'm going through the stuff in the Substack article. These are questions that are being asked because they see, because Elijah and whoever may have helped him with the article do see that there is some weird correlation to the fact that Netanyahu visited the White House the same day that press release happened and then quietly left the next day without really any pomp and circumstance, without even making a formal statement, which Netanyahu is relatively prominent for doing when he visits the U.S. He almost never leaves without making some form of public address before he leaves, and so people are asking questions about that. Though ostensibly it was supposed to be about the Gaza ceasefire. What's being pushed currently is from FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, is that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, that he hung himself in his cell.
And for months, both of those men, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, were both just streaming and screaming to release the files.
Yes, as early as December 2023, Patel suggested that powerful individuals were working to suppress the release of the Epstein client list. Now, again, people are trying to make connections to Israel because of Kash Patel's girlfriend. Her name is Alexis Wilkins, who does work for the CEO of PragerU, a fake university meant to push conservative religious right-wing dogma, masquerading as education when it's not. And the woman who is the CEO, her name is Marissa Streit. She used to be an intelligence officer for the Israeli Defense Forces. However, that's not necessarily something terribly uncommon for PragerU, because Dan Prager himself does have a lot of ties to Israel because he did grow up Jewish. So yes, it makes sense that a business that he starts may tend to hire people that he may be more comfortable with. That does not mean that this is some Zionist conspiracy, which
right. There's enough connections already that are real.
Yeah.
We don't need to start adding ones that cannot be, confirmed independently.
Yeah, and there's also someone that says like that Dan Bongino reportedly stated during an interview with Tim Pool that a respected news reporter told him Epstein was an intelligence asset for a Middle Eastern country, which really doesn't make any sense. But also, Bongino, why is he dropping that line and saying a respected news reporter? That just reeks of conspiracy mongering and nonsense. I don't believe that any reporter told him that. I really don't. Because as much as people were howling from the rooftops, especially Bongino and Patel, for release the files, I find it very suspect that he wouldn't just name drop the reporter that told him that Epstein was an intelligence asset for a Middle Eastern country. I think that's, quite frankly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think it's bullshit. And now Bongino is apparently in full agreement that he killed himself, or that Epstein killed himself, even when they had made huge statements that the case was really important and that Democrats were somehow trying to cover it up. But now that, Pam Bondi has the files and has had it, like she even stated in February of this year, asking if the DOJ would release a list of a client list. She said that it's sitting on her desk right now to review. That was February 21st.
Let me answer a question from the chat. Hey, Let's Play. We are going to get to Ghislaine Maxwell here anytime.
Yes.
We're going over a Substack article.
Yeah, to kind of give like Blitz background. Basically.
Yeah, we're trying to get some background to this. We'll get to her, I promise. Mm-hmm. So where are we at on that article?
We're a good chunk of the way through. I'm kind of skipping over some stuff. Epstein has said that he and Trump were good friends. He also stated that he knew Trump's first Secretary of Defense, James Mattis. kind of scrolling through here. Apparently, someone who appears to be buddy buddy with Trump. There are photos of them together as a man named Howard Lutnick, who was also his Secretary of Commerce and apparently lived next door to Epstein. Um, and is specifically, there is a bit of voiceover here saying, there must be more to life than having everything. The note began. Donald says, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey says, normal life, since I also know what it is. Trump apparently says, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey says, yes, we do, come to think of it. Trump says, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. And then Trump says, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. Now, this is,
we could probably post a link for that Substack article right here in the chat, couldn't we?
We can, sure, yeah.
Yes. We've had a request for it from Let's
Okay,
Play.
I thought you. Okay, fantastic.
Somebody else would like to look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know that birthday letter is super cringe.
Oh yeah, the birthday letter is very, very cringe.
So, do you all think that she, like Ghislaine, is gonna get a pardon from Trump?
I don't know. I mean, Donald Trump pardoned a shitbag real estate tax dodger because his mama made $1 million donation to him.
He pardoned the Silk Road guy.
Yeah.
And that guy obviously was committing crimes.
It just seems like something that
facilitating.
It seems like something that he would do. Maybe not right in this time, but maybe like at the last minute before he's out of office, kind of thing.
The thing is, I don't know why he would wait. Truth be told, and wait until he's on his way out the door. I mean, unless he really is trying to angle for a repeal to the 22nd Amendment to try and wrangle himself a third term.
I was just thinking of how Biden pardoned his family and stuff, like right at the last minute.
Yeah. Right, but he waited until the last minute because he was at the time running for re-election, and then since he was dropping out and Harris was going to be taking over his campaign with 108 days, how do you run a campaign on that? Anyways,
we had somebody join us, but I don't know if his audio is working. I wish he would say something.
Well, I'm trying to see if
his audio is working. Can you hear us?
I see myself on the screen.
Oh, I'll get you up there.
Oh, I see who it is. It's AK.
It's AK's here. I'm gonna add him up.
Sure, bring him on.
Come on up, AK.
Well, welcome, AK.
Hi.
All right, we got a couple other things from the chat. We would like to put that link in here if somebody could do that for me. I don't have it. Let's see.
I'll send it to you in a private chat.
Okay. Yeah, but I can't post it from here. I'm producing right now, so. Ghislaine Max. The questions mostly are concerning like a lot of. Oh my God, I got to go back a little bit.
I sent it to Sparrow.
Okay. Okay. Let's Play says that the list is almost definitely a blackmail list with ties to the CIA and Mossad.
You say almost definitely, man. I don't see any evidence that actually stacks up in favor of that. I see a whole lot of supposition and tangential relationship lines being drawn and supposed correlation, but I don't see any actual chain of evidence that points to that being the case. Do I rule it out as a possibility? No. But I have to temper any thoughts of what actually may have happened with the reality of the evidence that we have, and the evidence that we have does not indicate that. It does not provide enough information to even make a sweeping statement of that nature.
We have a couple other things like about.
To my knowledge, the list is a clan list, isn't it?
That's what everyone has said.
But
There has been one. There has been one redacted list released at any actual point, and Ghislaine Maxwell has provided the DOJ with 100 names, according to at least one source of CBS. But all things told, it's just a list of names. The redacted list is just given without context. We don't know where it's at in the stack of documents that it's in. Was it just shoved in there? Was it in other documents that would give context to what that list means and who those people are, why those people are being named in such a way? It doesn't give us any indication one way or the other. People are assuming it's a client list, but there's nothing that positively states that.
Yeah.
right.
The funny thing is, to me, is like they remember when they try to pretend like the list doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
They
No, I'm not
didn't. They
saying the list
released like
doesn't
the flight
exist.
logs. Like what was it? A few months before. Why are you gonna pretend the list doesn't exist when you just released the flight logs? Like, was it 2 months before? I don't even remember.
Yeah, they released flight logs a few months before. I want to say it was, and if I don't remember, were the flight logs released under the Biden administration or after Trump took office? I can't remember.
Me neither. But I just remember they released them, and then and then what was it? I think it was June. Then they pretended like the list doesn't exist. All of a sudden,
It's as of July 7th. They say the list doesn't exist.
hmm. It's just such a weird thing to me. Like, why are you gonna pretend it doesn't exist after you
When
claim you're going to release it,
we've
and then release the flight logs,
the attorney
and then
general said
just pretend it doesn't exist after
the
that?
attorney general said she had it on her desk.
Yeah, I remember that.
On
Yeah,
her
she said
desk.
she had it on her desk in February,
Yeah.
and fast forward not even 6 months, and
It disappeared.
it was never there to begin with,
Yeah.
apparently.
It's
So I would
vanished.
want I would love to have Pam Bondi on any show. In fact, I would like to have Pam Bondi on Daily Show with Jon Stewart because I want to see him just dog her ass like he's done so many other guests of just saying, "Well, hang on a second. Is there a list or is there not? Were you
Well,
lying in February or were you lying on July 7th?"
hey, John Stewart was brought up in
Yeah.
in our
So
chat.
so the thing is, so the thing is, uh, during their campaign, they went on about how they're going to release the client list, and now they're basically saying, "Well, teach the dog ate my homework."
No, it's actually the
No, they're
Haitians. You see,
saying
they're not just eating the dogs and the cats; they're also eating the Epstein list.
So
yeah, like they're not even saying that they're not even saying the dog ate their homework. They're saying that the teacher never assigned the homework and that the dog never existed.
exactly. Well, okay. Since these seem to be the most popular questions, we might as well move on to them, like about Ghislaine
Yeah, let's
Maxwell
go for it.
and how she
Yeah,
got
let's do it.
transferred to a minimum security prison and said, I've never seen Trump commit any crimes. That's from Let's Play.
Yeah, well, minimum medium security.
What?
It's a mixed security facility, which is most. So we don't know.
Well,
I don't know
Robin,
if it was
Speaking of
Robin,
said
that,
if
what
he's a
kind of
minimum
facility
security
was
custody.
Epstein
Robin
held
said,
at?
I think she agreed to cover for Trump for the move to the spa prison.
I mean, yeah, no, that would be something. And the list of 100 names and all that most likely is to secure. I would say potentially could be to secure her pardon. And I guarantee you that if they ever release that list, it'll either be redacted or all 100 names will be of either Democrats, wealthy donors to Democratic causes, or people who have said mean things about Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
In fact, I would probably wager to say that maybe even Jon Stewart's name
Well, what? Wait.
is on that list.
And Robin pointed that out because she said, and Trump tried to say he didn't know that word, but Jon Stewart showed that was a lie.
Which word?
What was that word? I'm trying to think of it right now. It was right there, and it went.
That is the next step.
I'll think of it in a
Sorry,
minute.
this is the next step. This is the next step in their power struggle. Like they're going to, like you said, release all the names that are dissenters against Trump, and then basically lock them up and throw the key away,
I know the
and
word.
then they can place loyalists in
Yep.
power.
Thank you, Let's Play. Yes, the word was enigma. And Trump said he
Wow.
didn't even know that word. And Jon Stewart showed like at least 4 or 5 videos, where Trump used the word enigma. So he obviously
I
did know the word.
I saw that. Yeah.
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 And
And
then,
also to take it a step further, it's like, yeah, no, it's the next step in their power struggle. Let's call it what it is. We've had our beer hall putsch. What happens next is the night of the long knives.
don't say that. Man, history don't need to repeat itself like that.
No, but I'm not saying that history repeats itself. I'm saying that history, in large part, is cyclical. Not because we don't learn from history, but we keep finding new ways to make the same mistakes. And saying, no, but it's different now. Because he's not targeting Jews. It's just,
Well,
Mexicans and black people.
we are getting a lot of interaction from the chat. So Robin Webster said that Ghislaine already got somewhat of a pardon.
Yeah, she's gotten something.
I would say it's at least a type of clemency.
For sure.
And then Let's Play says he pardoned
Wait.
1,500. Well, go ahead.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean by a partial pardon or clemency? Like,
Because
what
she got
was?
moved from a maximum security prison to a minimum medium security prison in Texas, which sex offenders don't even qualify for medium or minimum security. They don't.
Oh,
Not in federal.
I
not
was-
in Fed.
Not in a federal jurisdiction. They have to
When-
stay
Yeah.
in maximum security. That's the law.
when did this happen? I was not aware of this.
When was she moved? It
she-
was like a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it was like the 16th or 17th of July.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
wow.
wasn't that
Somehow
long
I
ago.
missed that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, and it's not like Trump has a problem pardoning actual criminals, right? I mean, like
No,
the Silk
16
Road
like
guy and all the
16.
Jan Sixers and all that.
Yeah,
And-
well, with the J6ers, he was always going to pardon.
Well,
we
and
all
how
knew that.
and already a bunch of them that he pardoned have been rearrested for new crimes. And some of them have for past crimes that he forgot to pardon them for, I guess. I have no idea.
I think some of them probably thought that their pardon extends to future crimes as well.
I mean, they're certainly dumb enough. Some of them.
Yeah. And even
I-
Let's Play pointed out several have been convicted again and imprisoned again, and it's true. I mean, one of them shot a cop
Oh,
Yeah.
after this?
after
After
being pardoned.
for J6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shot a cop.
Wow.
Another one. This is also true. Another one got arrested for grooming minors online.
And I'm willing to
Wow.
bet they're probably already drafting letters to send to the office of the
One
president.
I need
local
another
guy,
pardon, please.
ran away because he
It's-
was how did he got
like
pardoned?
that-
He ran off because he
Yeah.
was wanted for
Oh.
sex crimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
Or it's pardons from Trump is like the oh gosh, that little fake TV show inside of the 90s sitcom Dinosaurs. We need another Timmy.
And Let's Play
Oh,
showing
God.
up a little late into the stream. He said, "Why would someone keep a list like that? You know, what purpose would you have for keeping a list like that if not for blackmail?" And we already kind of covered that, but that would be like insurance, even if it wasn't for blackmail
Yeah.
purposes. So if
I mean,
somebody
it didn't
said,
really
"Well,
work.
I'm
Really,
gonna,
seeing that he's dead.
yeah, I'm gonna come get you and do this and this," he go, "Oh, really? I have this right here." You know.
Yeah, it's scorched earth. It's not even scorched earth. It's like I said earlier. It's like with the U.S. and the Soviets with nukes in the 70s and 80s. It's mutually assured destruction. It's if you try to take me out, there's no way you're not going to get hit.
Right. And then
What
and
state did
Like
that
you may
happen in,
stop some
though?
of them, but you won't stop everything.
Like, what state did that happen where the cop was shot?
I think it was
the-
Michigan. I'm not 100%
you're right.
sure. I think it was Michigan. I can't.
It was Michigan or Minnesota.
Yeah,
like
I
I
can't-
want to say it had to be one of the northern M's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, he got pulled over and literally jumped out of his car and shot the cop. They had
Dead?
yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
And then
Let's Play pointed out also that Trump said he had never even written a picture, but I mean, he auctioned off pictures of the New York city skyline that he drew for charity purposes, supposedly. But yeah, he draws lots of
multiple years,
pictures. Yeah,
multiple years in a row,
yeah,
he
he
did
draws
that.
lots of pictures.
There's a huge amount of drawings
I
that
mean,
he's done.
didn't he draw on a weather map with a Sharpie?
Something like
Oh
that.
my God, he drew something very phallic shaped, and everyone made
Oh,
fun of him
wait.
for.
This might be important. Let's Play points out that he says, "Oh, here's something important that everyone seems to forget. Trump and Epstein were already held liable for sexually assaulting a minor. It was settled out
Yes.
of court."
Yes. They were held civilly liable. No criminal charges were pressed, and the thing about how it works, at least in the U.S., depending on the state, again, what you are found civilly liable for cannot be used to prejudice your innocence or guilt in a criminal court,
Right.
because the rules of evidence and the rules of deciding, well, guilt or innocence is not decided. It's merely is
Yeah.
a preponderance of the evidence greater than 50%, that you caused some sort of harm to the other party. That,
That
like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a one-way street. If you win the criminal case, it can support your civil case. But if you win the civil case, it doesn't support your criminal case.
Not necessarily true. In some instances, conviction in a criminal case can be used to support, can be used as supporting evidence in a civil case, because again, the rules of evidence are different. The legal bar for evidence in a criminal court is much higher than it is for
That's
civil
exactly
court,
what I'm
and
saying.
so in some cases you can use a criminal conviction to support a civil argument. It's used all the time in determining restitution to victims when civil suits are pursued outside of court.
he said that. Okay, seriously, I did not know this, and this is something that Let's Play just. This bugs me though. Was the minor that they assaulted and that was settled out of court, was that Virginia Joffrey too? She's the one that
Uh,
that took
those
her
are
own life.
those are, if I remember correct, that settlement and uh, that whole case is still sealed, I want to say.
Man,
So I
Then it's
don't
that
know.
would bug me
I
if it
don't.
was.
I don't know.
I know the girl that accused Prince Andrew allegedly killed herself, and though she said she wasn't suicidal, like I think 30 times or something like that.
Mhm.
I remember hearing about that.
I
So
don't
it's
know.
like,
I'll say right now, if I'm taken into custody, I have no intentions of committing suicide.
No. Next part of the Substack. What are we on to? Are we done, or are we done with that, and we can freely talk? Where are we at?
Oh, I mean, like, we can freely talk. We can dig more into Substack. I've got it pulled up. They're claiming that the FBI is sitting on multiple recordings.
Well,
Um,
let's just take a poll here real quick. Do
yeah. Do we want
does
more of the Substack article, or do we want to just dive into free discussion?
yeah? I'm fine with
Well, I
either.
mean, like, there's something I want to discuss, like about the like releasing the files. You have to make sure that you protect the victims as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. No, that's the thing that me and Farm both said, is that we would want the Epstein files released in their entirety. The only redaction we see as being necessary, truly necessary, would be redacting the names of the victims.
Right.
exactly.
But apparently, Trump's name is being redacted out of the files.
Well, apparently a lot of things are being redacted out of the files, but I don't think it's entirely Trump.
No.
No, I read that as well. I read that as well, where Trump is getting the FBI and someone to totally redact his name out of every single bit of the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Didn't he buy that plane?
The Lolita Express, yeah, Trump
Yes.
bought it.
Does he still have it?
I don't know.
I mean, I know he was gifted that other one.
Yeah, the one
Yes.
from Dubai or Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was from the Saudis.
Yes, it was from the Saudis, and it's going to cost more taxpayer dollars to get that plane fixed up than it is just to get Air Force One fixed.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not even Air Force One. There are um, three separate jets that are used to fly the president around, and it's just Air Force One is whichever one he happens to be on at the time.
Oh, I didn't know
Air
that. I thought it
yeah
was
Air
just the
Force
one.
Nope, Air Force One is not a specific plane. It is simply a call sign designation for whatever plane the president is currently occupying in flight.
Hmm.
Yep.
So
Well, I
basically,
do know
if
Oh,
if he was in a F-5 fighter or whatever, that would still be Air Force One.
Say that one more time, Alex.
sorry.
So, like, if he was on a F-14 or F-15 fighter plane, then that would also be Air Force One.
No, no, those are fighter craft, so they already have their own designations. So, depending on whatever his specific reference term is, um, within like Secret Service and other organizations, that would simply be his call sign. Is that it is the call sign of whatever pilot is operating the fighter aircraft the president's in, and then with whatever the president's call sign is, or like name behind closed doors or Secret Service is on board. That's a different thing. Air Force
By
One.
the way, who decides these rules?
These are just as so Air Force One. All of these things are maintained by the United States Air Force.
Yep.
So ostensibly, these naming conventions, these rules, are decided within the United States Air Force chain of command. It's not actually part of the executive branch.
And all the executives that fly on Air Force One, two, whatever, they all have their nickname, their call signs are given to them by
Yep.
Air Force people. They don't get to pick them.
Nope.
They called Reagan the Gipper. Kind of fit.
I mean, yeah, that was a character he played.
Yep. So his call sign was Gipper.
Yep.
And I was in during Bush's, and I
What does Gipper mean?
can't remember what his call sign was,
Sorry.
but it was funny.
What does Gipper mean?
Gipper was a name of a character that Ronald Reagan played when he was in movies back
Yeah,
in the 50s.
when he was a bad actor, B movie actor.
Yeah.
Okay, Let's Play said he found that document and it listed the victim as Jane Doe.
Why am I
Go ahead.
Why am I not surprised to hear that America previously elected an actor as president?
Star fucking is as American as apple pie, my friend.
Well, but let me make a point here real quick. Reagan was far more qualified to be president than Trump is because Reagan had actually served as a governor of California before he became president. So he had some executive experience.
And he actually wasn't bad as the governor.
He
of
was
California.
actually a decent California governor, but that
Yeah.
didn't translate well to presidency, in my opinion.
And I think a lot of it just had to do with his advanced age. I think he was already in the early stages of Alzheimer's at the time of his first election.
Yeah, Nancy was
And
our first female president during his second term, in all honesty.
Yeah.
We've had multiple actors. You're right. Let's Play. You're right.
I thought Trump was already a politician in his early days.
Yes,
No, Trump has never held political office other than the office of the presidency.
never. And I had a friend who thought he had served in the military, and I said, "Don't you dare lump that bone spurred draft dodging person in with us people who actually served."
Yeah. So here we go.
I believe
George
that
W. Bush's
real quick.
call sign was Tumblr and later
Yes.
Trailblazer. Was later changed to Trailblazer.
Okay. There was a people said there was a crackling in the audio, but the person that had that issue stepped out and stepped back. So
Well, there was. I was saying that there's some fans,
yeah,
like, because there's.
it did sound like a card in a bicycle spoke, didn't it?
Yeah, I didn't
Well,
know if it was my phone because I like switched tabs for a second to check my Insta, and I came
I think
back and just started.
Yeah, it
I
was.
didn't know if it was me or someone else, but I just
It's a
like
little
logged
weird,
off
but it's
and came
gone now,
back.
so we're good.
I think most everybody here, well, I'm not, but most people are running fans because of the heat. It's kind of hot where everybody is. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to check with chat if they're hearing any issues. It's probably a fan. So
No, it hasn't been, but interesting one is that Reagan's Secret Service code name was Rawhide because of all the cowboy movies he did.
Maybe publicly. I was
Right?
actually
No, I'm just saying his Secret Service code name. That doesn't mean that was his Air Force call sign with USAF. They didn't. Those are never actually officially published. Only the Secret Service code names.
I will admit this though. I happened to be at Andrews Air Force Base when George Bush came and got. This is HW, not W.
Yeah.
Came and got on Air Force One to take off. I was at Andrews. That is impressive, the amount of security they have.
Oh yeah.
It is
And
really impressive.
His call sign was apparently Timberwolf.
And those guys actually, they told us when we went out onto the flight line, they said, all those guys over there standing around Air Force One, those guns have live ammo and they don't ask questions.
No.
They will shoot you and figure it out later. So yeah, that was fun. Okay, so now back to the Epstein files here, real quick.
Oh, okay. So
Quick
the polar end.
quick poll amongst the 6 people here on the screen and our audience. Do we think, does everybody here think that the Epstein files should be released with only the victims' names and details redacted?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, what's the other
Yes.
option?
The other option would be to redact a bunch of other stuff, and you could get rid of some of the
No.
perpetrators out of there.
No.
So
No.
so I would say type 1 in the chat for the first option and type 2 for the second option.
Yeah, type 1 in the chat if you think these files should be released with only the victim details redacted. Well,
I
And-
honestly
and-
think,
and
and
there's
I'm going to
ways-
stick
and
to
there's-
my guns, I honestly think that they should release everything but the victims' names on those files and hold everyone accountable for what they've done.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
because there are plenty of ways to communicate the level of monstrosity that these actions were, without disclosing victim names. They can simply mention essentially age, sex, and nation of origin
Yep,
of
absolutely.
each victim.
And gender. Of course, they got to add that in.
Well, I said age, sex, and
Oh, I didn't hear that
country
part.
of
Sorry.
origin. Yeah.
My bad.
Age,
So-
sex, country of
yeah.
origin.
So do you all think these were just Jeffrey Epstein's files, or do you think that they were files that Ghislaine also was curating and like?
I think she definitely
I
was
think-
because
I
of like
in
I
all
think
honesty,
she
if
had
you
a
hear
hand in it as well.
testimony about the stuff,
I
she
think
helped
they
a
were full
lot during the
partners.
whole thing.
Yeah, I think they were full
Like witness
partners.
testimony, she was like heavily involved in this.
And let's
Because
play. I
highly
agree.
doubt she had no knowledge of it.
like
Yeah.
I feel like she must have had lists of clients that had specific wants for certain types of experiences or certain
Mhm.
people,
You know,
and well, I imagine they both did. for whatever reason, but they probably also wanted to please their clients, so they probably had
Yeah.
lists of, "Oh, this person likes this type of situation," and
Yeah.
they
He
like
likes him short. He likes him fat. He likes whatever.
Most
I'm sure they
likely,
Yeah,
did.
most
she was
likely the
going
women.
out and hunting victims for
Yeah.
him.
Most
That
likely,
is
I
why she got
see.
done for being co-conspirator.
Yeah, most likely the most likely dynamic I see with Epstein and Maxwell would be much like ostensibly the brothels of the old American West. You have generally a man who owned the property and the land that it sat on, because parts of that were during times where women, depending on the state, were not able to own their own property. And so they managed the estate, whereas there was generally a madam who handled curation. So, in essence, I think of Epstein as the manager and Maxwell as the curator.
So,
Uh,
She
he
would go
he
get the
takes
girls
care
and
of he
everything.
takes care of the business. She curates the experiences. In many ways, I would honestly say she's more of a monster than Epstein was, but for different reasons.
Her family past also apparently pretty shady. Her dad was like what? He was some kind of fraudster.
well, and I from what from what some of the victims have said that they were forced to go out and find or to recruit new girls.
Mm-hmm.
oh well, we're getting a lot of action in our chat, so
Cool.
What was
I,
it
I say
say?
let's
I'm
bring on
gonna
the
I'm in
questions.
favor of
well,
making brothels illegal. Then we
I'm a
can.
yeah. Let's Plays in favor of legal brothels, and we're pro. We had that debate before. Um,
Yeah.
Sex work should be legal work. It should be.
I mean, the best thing, the best argument I ever heard made, and the most succinct argument ever made, was done by George Carlin.
Oh yeah,
Selling is legal, fucking is legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal?
exactly. That man was brilliant.
It, like, it
Yeah,
makes no sense.
If
Like,
anybody in
if
the audience would
it's
like to join us, there's the link. But
yeah,
it would be handy if you had used EvMux before, because we have been having a tremendous amount of audio problems.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, yeah, so but it'll bring you to the backstage and we can still hear you, but
Right.
your voice won't be, audible to everybody else, but if as long as you're obviously, you're not required to use a camera,
Nope, no
but if you
cameras
want
required.
to yeah, if you wanna click the link, it'll bring you backstage here, and you can see if your audio will work, and if it does and you wanna join, feel free.
Okay, so he also said that Maxwell was not only convicted of recruiting for Epstein, but also for being involved in the stuff. And yeah, she was definitely a participant. I think they were damn near full partners, but they were doing different aspects of the business, as we'll call it.
Yeah. That's definitely true. Because I've heard all like the witness things that you see on the documentaries and the files and shit like that. She was definitely like the main recruiter for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. She was the curator. She curated the experiences and recruited uh, effectively the chattel. And I don't say that to dehumanize or demean the victims, but I think chattel is an appropriate term to use, because it was the same term that was used to describe uh, enslaved persons in the United States
Yeah.
in the 19th
Do
century,
we
and that's
like,
what these young men and women were. They were slaves.
do we have an idea of the age range of the victims?
I
Like,
From
think I think there was some as like young as 9,
I
so
heard
or at least
12.
11, at least 11.
Well, I heard
But
wow,
12,
that's
mine
and
was
it
I
was
horrible.
think
it
it was
was it
9.
was being discussed in a big debate. And they said that there were victims as young as 12. So I don't know or can't confirm any younger than that, but man, they should all be in prison. That's just and Let's Play also said, let's lock up Bill Clinton. I'm like, everybody. There has to be a reason that during Joe Biden's term they didn't release these files either.
That's what I was saying.
They had the White House for 4 years and they didn't release them either. And all of this with Jeffrey Epstein getting arrested and Ghislaine Maxwell getting arrested happened during Trump's first term.
Mm-hmm.
Under his watch. And they didn't release anything then. And then you had the whole Biden presidency. Nothing was released. Now we're back to Trump part 2.
Exactly.
And still nothing. And he is trying to do everything fucking possible to distract us from it.
Yeah.
To get us to focus our attention on something else.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing here from an overview of the released documents of the Epstein case, of the actual trial documents, not the actual Epstein files.
Right. Well, grand jury testimony, if it's ever released, has to be heavily redacted. Heavily.
Yeah. Were as young as 11 years old.
Wow.
Others reported to be 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17 years old at the time of their abuse.
Prison's too good for them.
One victim stated she was 14 when she met Epstein, and by the age of 16, she had brought him 70 to 80 other young women, all aged 14 to 15.
Good Lord, it gets worse.
So these are barely pubescent young people that are being subjected to sexual slavery.
Yeah, definitely.
And being enticed in with promises of also. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and Let's Play says now the DOJ is opening an investigation into the Obama coup. And unfortunately there, Mr. Trump, he got a law passed by the Supreme Court that says the presidents are immune. So you really can't go after Obama or Biden or Bush or any of them. The ones that are still, or Clinton, the ones that are still alive are immune. Rat joined us. Hello, Rat. Say something.
Hi. Hi, Rat.
Hey, Rat.
I just want to add one thing. I wouldn't be surprised that if Andrew Tate is not tied somewhere into the Epstein thing.
I don't know. I think he's too fucking stupid. I don't think like Epstein was essentially, for all intents and purposes, like he was someone who knew what he was doing in the game that he was doing it in. Someone like Andrew Tate, I don't think he would have actually accepted as a client, purely because he's too volatile. It would have been a detriment to his business. I mean, like that's got to be saying something. You're too fucked up for even Jeffrey Epstein to take your money.
Oh yeah, but I was just thinking of the aspect of Andrew Tate doing the whole sex trafficking thing, you know.
Well, I think he was on the same level as them, you know.
And in the documentary, you can actually see through a window and see them taking like pictures of young naked women, and you can clearly see that in the window in the documentary. It's actually kind of funny. He's like exposing himself in the fucking documentary. Let's see if I can find that.
Everything I read about this or hear about this that I didn't know already tonight is making me even sicker. Yeah, it's making me even sicker. I was going to add Rat to the scene, but I don't know if he's got his mic figured out yet.
I got it.
Okay.
Yep.
You're here. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Rat.
Well.
So now Let's Play says the girls were only paid like $200 for this shit.
I know they were.
I'm surprised they were paid.
Yeah, they weren't paid much.
Yeah, you generally don't pay your slaves, right?
I mean, there was probably an amount to entice them to come along and whatnot. But also, these are young women being recruited from all over the world.
Sorry, I wanted to say
Speak up.
About the Andrew Tate thing. I think Andrew Tate is Epstein is a little bit before Tate's time.
Right.
Yeah.
He blew when I was like, I think a sophomore. So it's been like what, 2 years? Epstein died like way before that.
Yeah, I don't think Tate had anywhere near kind of the money that he had recently to
Yeah.
Yeah,
even do anything with
and
Epstein.
and he said that the victims were Let's Play said the victims were often in poverty, and that is true because I watched that interview with Virginia Joffre
Hmm.
describing how she got, sucked into this for massaging older men for money, and I was like, and they explained her situation, her single mom, everything, they were about to get evicted, all kinds of crazy stuff was going on.
Is this the is that the girl that was she worked at, what was it,
Yeah,
Mar-a-Lago?
she worked in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I was
I saw
gonna
that one.
say
I
that.
saw that one.
Wasn't he at Mar-a-Lago at some point?
Yeah.
She was
At
working
least in
there.
Yeah,
early 2000s.
he was a
Maxwell like
client.
came up and asked her if she wanted a lot of money or something like that, and she went over and yeah.
So yeah, they always went after, it's much easier to recruit people like that are from a difficult situation, no matter what it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah, I mean, many of the people were recruited from other countries. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're kids who don't understand what exchange rates are, so they probably don't even know the value of American currency in their own country at the time that they're being recruited. So yeah, $200 may seem like a ton of money to them, but again, they're 14 or 15 years old,
Right.
and from impoverished countries and from impoverished families. So it's like they're not really going to understand what the actual relative value of $200 is outside of their own little corner of experience in the world, which is at that point not a whole hell of a lot.
Well, I just saw the look on Virginia Joffre's face in that interview when she talked about her mom was like days away from losing their house. Days away.
Hmm.
So what's everybody else got? What
I mean, we just brought Rad on here, so
I
like,
know.
let's
So what's Rat
hear from
got to
him.
say about this?
Yeah.
Was there? What do we know about him at Mar-a-Lago? Like, what did he? And I've heard like Trump's banned him from there. Uh, in some point in the 2000s.
Well, Donald Trump
So
said it was because he was sniping his employees. And he talked about one young girl in particular. And then, the reporters and everything that were researching this figured out that at the time he was talking about Virginia Joffre, the only victim whose name has been released because she's no longer with us, unfortunately.
Hmm. Yeah.
What
Reportedly, Trump
happened
banned
there?
Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in October of 2007.
Yeah, for sniping it, for stealing his employees. He said, "Yeah, you taking all the," and he even he said she was a beautiful young girl.
Yep. Trump has directly claimed that the fallout stemmed from Epstein, quote unquote, stealing young women who
Yep,
worked at the Mar-a-Lago spa.
yep. Wow. Yeah,
You
this.
know what would be funny? If Donald Trump right now tried to pardon Epstein to make all of
She's
this
gonna
go
pardon
away.
him from the grave. I think that's a bit useless. She's like, you're pardoning the dead. You might as well just.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we've actually pardoned dead people. Um,
They kind of pardoned Pete Rose.
No, I
yeah.
get
Well,
that. I
I would
get
say
that, but I just think it's absurd to think that a pardon would make all of this go away.
actually the crazy thing is, to some extent, while it would never stop being tried in the court of public opinion, um, for Donald Trump, yeah, no, the majority of his problems would effectively go away, because if he pardons Epstein, even posthumously, that effectively vacates his prosecution. That means they can pull down the trial documents. Those no longer have to be part of public record, because essentially the entire judgment, the entire conviction is vacated, making all those documents essentially pointless. And so, while they may be retained in some cold storage server somewhere, because that's what the U.S. government does with every document they've ever made, that doesn't mean they have to have it up for public viewing. Doesn't mean they have to actually respond to or honor a FOIA request for it anymore.
Right.
and and there'd be no legal grounds or legal standing for anyone to challenge it on, because essentially a presidential pardon is the end all be all. Like it carries with it as much weight as a Supreme Court decision,
Actually,
and a presidential pardon, as far as we know,
if
cannot
I
be overturned.
remember correctly, yeah.
And Trump complaining about Joe Biden using the auto pen for pardons. There's nothing in the Constitution or in any of our laws that says the president has to write it and sign it himself. As a matter of fact, it is so vague that a president could just go, "I pardon you," and you're pardoned.
Yeah, I
It's
mean that's
that
actually one
vague.
of the. Yeah, it's also
And
vague enough. It's also vague enough where it doesn't even say that when a president signs something into law that it must be done publicly in full viewing. There's
No.
something that says that he has to be the one to sign it either. He could designate a proxy to sign something on his behalf, which is why there's the big supposition that Nancy Reagan was effectively a de facto president
Yes.
for the latter 2 years or so of Ronald Reagan's second term as president.
Well,
I mean,
um,
how
let,
many
let,
sell more pins?
Let's Play
So,
says that. Okay, go ahead, Sparrow. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, so essentially he could pardon people like he does the turkey annually.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
There is nothing that says he can. As a matter of fact, all of his complaining about that bullshit. Trump was in Europe one time in his first term and pardoned somebody here. How did he
Hmm.
do that? He couldn't have gone, he couldn't have signed it if that's what really makes a pardon legal. You couldn't have signed it here from Europe. It had to be an auto pen, and I've seen an auto pen. And I know how they work. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, Let's Play also says the White House website has mysteriously lost a part of the Constitution regarding habeas corpus. Where did we put that? Shit.
High risk habeas
I
corpus.
mean,
So.
I guess the habeas was buried with Epstein's corpus.
Must be. Must be.
well, apparently, because since there's some folks that don't know what the hell it even means.
Okay, who
Yeah,
wants to volunteer to define habeas corpus?
I guess I'll do it since I have a criminal justice education.
There you go.
Habeas habeas corpus effectively translates to "bring me the body." It means you must present the body of a crime to be tried for a crime. You there are There are essentially two things that must be brought before a court to be tried criminally. One is habeas corpus. You must demonstrate that a crime has occurred. You must provide evidence that the person that you claim committed the crime committed the crime. This means motive, means, opportunity. On top of that, you must also prove a secondary concept called the mens rea, which literally means guilty mind, that the person did so knowingly and with the positive intention of committing that criminal act.
Right.
Well, and also their due process before actions are taken, don't chuck people out of the country or send them to countries they've never lived in before they actually are able to have their due process.
Yeah, because to be determined as an illegal alien in the United States, you must have gone through a court proceeding to obtain a conviction, which means that you are afforded all of the rights contained within the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and you have every single right as an American citizen does. This is one of the reasons why the Republican Party wants to end birthright citizenship, because then
Absolutely.
that means they get to decide who is a
My
citizen and who is
question.
not,
Well,
and they get to decide who has rights and who does not.
I don't think that the
Okay,
Constitution.
so
What was that, Alex? Sorry.
my question is, my question is, if you're in the country illegally without papers, how do they track you? How do they find out that you're in the country without papers? Because then technically you're off the grid,
To an extent, you're
kind
off
of.
the grid, uh, but essentially, ICE makes a stop. They have to prove some sort of reasonable suspicion, generally to a FISA court, which is going to be a secret court, which you have no right to a grand jury in, and so they obtain a warrant for arrest or a warrant for detainment, and then they go and detain that person that they state or say is in the country illegally. They do that based on a number of different criteria, and then that starts the process because ICE is a law enforcement agency under the Department of Justice. That starts the process of a criminal proceeding in which it is determined whether or not that individual that they arrested is here illegally.
Okay, so another thing is, that thing where you're in the country for like 5 years and you can apply for citizenship. Does it have to be legally, like in the country?
Yeah. You
Yeah,
have to register. Yes.
you have to be what is referred to as a resident alien. Means that you are not yet a citizen of the United States, but you have gone through the immigration process. You've obtained your appropriate visa to be a resident of the United States prior to your citizenship. This is what things like
Do
student
you
visas
think this
are, like
process should be
H-1Bs and
made
stuff like that.
easier?
If you get picked up for anything, whether you're documented, undocumented, born here or not, and you were on American soil, you have a right to due process, and that's not what these guys are getting at all. You have a right to your day in court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've said this before in a debate in the Discord, but I think it's even under the human rights, which I think technically aren't like law, but that's still interesting that like under the 30 human rights,
Yeah, the
you get a
UN
right to due
Convention.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of international law, I can't really think of. There are human rights, but I'm not sure of any particular acts or anything like that, other than like the Geneva Convention and stuff like that. But I'm not. Again, I'm not sure. I feel like there
Well,
probably
no,
is, but I don't know.
there's the Human Rights Act.
Well, being that I'm the oldest person in this right now, I grew up on Schoolhouse Rock, and they had things like the Great American Melting Pot, and they talked about Lady Liberty, and we were supposed to be the shining beacon to the rest of the world. Send me your huddled masses,
Give me your tired, your
You
poor, your huddled masses. This is
exactly
literally what is engraved on the feet of the statue of Lady
the
Liberty
poem
at
by Emma
Ellis
Lazarus.
Island.
Yeah, the new
Yeah.
Colossus, and that is completely gone now. Completely gone. I mean, people can still come here legally,
Sometimes,
but do they
sometimes
want
I
to
just
now? Hey, Joe, Kentucky Atheist is here. The link's up above if you want to come in,
sometimes
or we could drop it again, maybe.
sometimes I just
Yeah.
wonder, like, what the future holds. Because I mean, like, um if you look at how things are unfolding, like, what am I going to tell my grandkids one day? That I lived through the American Revolution and America rose up out of the ashes, or I saw the fall of the American Empire, or what kind of future is unfolding there?
What
You
you what
understand
you'll
what I
probably
mean?
what you'll probably end up saying is to your grandkids is that you witnessed the downfall of yet another empire, as so many have bore witness to over the thousands of years of recorded human history, and in the process of doing that, we went out not with a bang but with a whimper, because of the constant sniping across both sides, the constant moving of lines from one side to another, which, as it stands currently, the conservative Christian right, not necessarily Republicans, but within the Republican Party, the conservative Christian right, um, is moving that Overton window so far to the right that it makes me basically a centrist uh, who firmly believes in Second Amendment rights, and that guns should be easier to get a hold of than they currently are, and that regular citizens should be allowed to own automatic firearms, and wants Obergefell to be upheld, and gay people can get married however they wanted, and that women should have the right to an abortion, because it shouldn't be even considered right. It's just a medical procedure between a woman and her doctor. Someone who, like me, who occupies the center or center left, is seen as a pinko commie capelli looking motherfucker.
Me too. Me too. Because I mean, why is an abortion the only medical thing that seems to be immune from the HIPAA laws? Why?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like
exactly.
moderate right to centrist.
Me, I just want to be able to. I just want to be able to carry my Glock with a giggle switch at my gay friend's best wedding while smoking a joint, and be able to have a conversation with any number of my uterine-bearing mammalian friends that say, "Hey, by the way, that pregnancy wasn't quite working out, so went and talked to the doctor. Well, we're going to try again later if that's something that they really want to do." And that just be the end of it, because guess what? We let freedom ring. We picked up the phone. We answered the call, and we stopped allowing effectively corporate stooge shitbags decide our lives for us, because that's what this is. There are very few. You can talk to any historian, and they will all tell you the same thing: that it is incredibly rare that you can ever point to any one single event in human history and be able to track that it has such a wide impact on society at large. The United States has had three within the last 53 years. One, 1972, and the open trade agreements with China under Nixon that essentially led to the downfall of the majority of American manufacturing. Two, in 1981, with the Patco firings under Reagan that essentially crippled union protections for workers because he said, well, your federal employees report to work on Monday or you're all fired, thus ending the majority of collective bargaining within the United States.
Yep.
And then three, in 2010, the one of the biggest debacles in Supreme Court history since the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, and that is Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, which decided that, hey, guess what? Corporations are people. And as such, they are allowed political speech, and they can make political donations, and they can do so on behalf of their employees without their employees' consent. Which has led to the explosion, the near logarithmic growth in campaign cost, thus making it where only the uber wealthy and those with a trust fund falling out of their ass and a silver spoon stuck in their ear can ever run for anything more than a dog catcher.
So I agree with what the Kentucky Atheist said in our chat just now. It says your personal wants are fine with me for the most part, but we just need representatives that work for the people, not corporations. Our government is fundamentally broken. What we have now will only end in authoritarianism.
Exactly, and we can point exactly to. I firmly believe we can point to exactly to what led us down this road, and that is Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission,
yes.
the SCOTUS decision from 2010.
Citizens United was one of the worst decisions they ever made.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst decision they made. Like up until the Dobbs case, where they overturned Roe v. Wade, Citizens United was the worst decision since fucking Dred Scott.
Yeah, and I really like. I remember back when like that first started taking place, when the Colbert Report and the Daily Show were both on Comedy Central.
Oh yeah.
And Colbert formed a super PAC, one of them formed a super PAC. We're not allowed to coordinate. It was hilarious. They showed how broken it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
or John Oliver showing how easy it is to be considered a church, and he had the Daily Show or Last Week Tonight declared a religious institution, and thus garnered tax breaks for it. And I love the fact that he named the church Our Lady of Perpetual Exemption.
I mean, because and he said that we need representatives that work for us, not for corporations. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because just for example, in some of the most recent polls, as high as 77% of Americans want recreational marijuana. It should be legal everywhere if they were working for us like they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Here's two things that you can do that will start to.
And yeah, that's
There are
terrifying.
three things that I think should be done that I think will have a positive impact on the body politic of actually having representatives for Americans by Americans. And that is one, an end to corporate lobbying, two, an overturning of Citizens United, and three, the institution of term limits on both the House and the Senate. The Senate, they get 2 terms. The House, we'll give them 4. We'll give them 4. That way, there's never any real big ousting in the middle of a Senate election, that kind of thing. Because essentially, 4 terms in the House of Representatives, cool. That's 8 years.
So
That's 8 years you have to try and influence public policy. 2 terms in Senate, that's 12 years.
How
That's
much
more than any president gets.
How much longer do you think we're gonna go? Kentucky
As
Eighth
long
is
as y'all want.
Kentucky Eighth is his ass. I got nothing else planned tonight.
We've only been going for an hour an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I got nothing else planned.
We
Yeah.
kind of went off on a tangent
Yes.
here, so
did.
maybe we need
We
to
did.
try to bring it back to Epstein.
Sure. So as far as like the Substack article, I'm not sure how much more value it's going to add to the discussion, because it dives deep into the conspiracy rabbit hole of the tangential relationships of people like William Barr and his dad, and Bert Krischer, and a lot of other people. I mean, if people want to go into that, that's fine. We can try and dig into it. I think that's really just a rabbit hole full of mostly red herrings that I don't think that evidentially will lead us anywhere towards actual answers about the Epstein files. So I think, in all honesty, if everybody else is game for it, we should take as many questions as we can get from our friends in the comment section. Also, I'll issue my public challenge.
Joining us.
Heck yeah, bring it on, TKA. And also, I'll throw my hat in the ring right now. This is totally off topic, but since we're already off topic, I'll throw it in there. Here's my public declaration that I challenge Kent Hovind to a debate on evolution. Hi, Kent. You won't like this, but I'm still going to say it anyways. I think it'll be fun.
Well,
I think it would be fun.
And unfortunately, as the owner of as one of the owners of our channel, I would love to debate Kent too, but I can't do it on our channel. I'd rather do it on a neutral one. If somebody else wanted to host a debate with me and Kent, because I'd like to debate him on the age of the Earth.
Yeah, me, I'm just an admin. I don't own shit here, so.
Yeah, TKA is going to join us in a minute. That's awesome. He
has
a lot to say about Epstein.
I wanna debate Kent on Tyler Pods.
There you go. Rhett, was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Yes, please speak up.
About the Epstein files and things like that.
I was just thinking. I remember when the whole Trump Musk they were fighting on Twitter or whatever.
God. Mm-hmm.
And I remember I said it was so funny hearing someone who was technically working for the government just outright say he was in the Epstein files, even if it was just out of pettiness. I just thought that was
Wait, was
a
that
real interesting
Are you talking
moment.
about Elon or someone else?
Yeah. No, Elon.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Their social media war they were having.
And the 3 weeks
like,
ago, Mike Pence
you know
said he
what?
wants
The reason why they don't release
Like,
Epstein is because he's on it,
You can.
which is funny
Mike
to
Pence
me for like a whole bunch of reasons.
I've started to hate.
It's fun. You can ask the Kentucky atheist.
This is a bit
if
off
he
topic,
can
but
host
how
the
does
debate.
everyone
Hold
feel
on.
about Elon's like kind of downfall?
It's kind of hard to hear two people at the same time, so one at a time.
I was just
I think
asking, how do
Elon's-
people feel about Elon's downfall? Because when I was like in high school, I remember it's probably before high school. Maybe he was like super popular, right? He just beat out Jeff Bezos to become the richest man in the world. He was kind of like super popular, like kind of king in the world at that time. My dad even bought a book about him. He's kind of like inspired, stuff like that. Like now
Honestly,
he's
Elon
kinda
Musk has just been able to. He's been able to fail upwards for most of his life. I mean, he effectively ripped off the idea of PayPal, and then got, um, well, he got screwed out of PayPal, and then took his money with that, and made some wise investments, but mostly spent most of his time just installing himself as the owner of companies that were
I'm
already successful and
exactly.
claiming their success as his own.
I am.
PayPal, I remember PayPal. So basically, what happened was he created a different company, and then there was PayPal, and they were like had competition. And
Mhm.
basically, at one point, they both just became
Yeah, they
like they were
merged.
just losing money because of the way they were competing.
Hmm.
So they just decided to merge
Yep.
And he took
with
over.
him becoming, I guess, the largest shareholder.
Yep. And then he
Hmm.
And
sold it
then
to
like the guy's
eBay.
like, you know what? Fuck this guy, and just kicked him off pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sold PayPal to eBay and then took that money and bought into Tesla enough for a controlling interest. And it's amazing how many people up here where I live think he invented Tesla, started the
When he
company, and
had
invented the electric car.
nothing at all to do with it.
Exactly. It was
Like
already a company, but
Elon Musk is a modern day Thomas Edison. The only thing he is in he hadn't. The thing is, Thomas Edison invented many ways to steal credit. Elon Musk is just using the Thomas Edison playbook, so he didn't even invent ways to steal credit. He's just stealing credit.
right.
Like he's just cribbing a century old style for his own. Like Elon Musk is no he's a guy who had money and an axe to grind,
And happened to
and
be in the
so
right
he
place
just
at the right time.
The thing
yeah.
with Epstein
It's like the people who bought Bitcoin in 2011.
Just right place
and
at the right
what's his
time.
name? Edison though. Edison's still credited with a bunch of stuff. Elon's kind of
Mm,
like his reputation just tanked.
Yeah, there's
except
Most people like
Edison
see
really
Edison in a good light
wait,
nowadays, but
Edison's
Elon,
Edison's team Edison's team of people invented a lot of things
some
that
tremendous
he put
things.
his name on and that he put his name on the patents of. Like the light bulb already existed. Edison developed an improved filament,
Yep.
but he's credited with inventing the light bulb.
And the phonograph existed before him too.
Right,
But
he's just credited with creating a different method of using it,
right,
using cylinders, using
using
a metal
what?
cylinder instead of a wax one. Like
No,
he did
his
these
first ones
minor
were wax.
things. His first were wax, but he eventually went to metal,
Right.
and that's the process. And that's the process he patented. But yeah, um, like he stole a lot of he stole a lot from a lot of people. Basically, he took good ideas from people who were actually inventing things and really putting the work in, and then he's like, "Hey, come work for me. I will pay you to develop this." But hiding in obfuscating language in his contracts that the rights of patent go to Edison, and so Edison gets to claim that he has invented all these different things. Why? Because he holds the patents.
Right.
And people like Nikola Tesla can say anything and everything they want to, and most people at the time just don't pay any attention because, well, yeah.
So the war of words between the
yes.
world's richest man and the world's most powerful man looked like a couple of teenagers on the playground to me.
Yeah.
And I had to unfriend somebody today. Seriously,
Oh,
yeah, I'm not kidding you. I blocked him and everything because he said as long as his 401k is okay, he doesn't care what Trump did. Doesn't care if he's a sex offender. I'm like, would you let him watch your grandkids? Seriously. You're going to let him run the country, but you won't let him watch your grandkids. That's amazing.
And Mike Pence
That,
3 weeks ago said
that's
he
okay,
wants to.
Joe. Would have been cool if you could, but you can keep typing in the chat. We'll answer your questions if we can.
Oh, Rat was trying to say something.
I'm so sorry.
If I remember correctly, from what I've learned about America, is that the American president is a civil servant. He's a servant of the people.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Supposed to be.
Um, Rat, your audio is
Sorry,
a
you
little
can go on.
quiet.
Yeah, I've turned him up as high as I can here. And I'm sorry for talking over you, Rad. I did not mean that.
That's alright.
What were you trying to say that now?
I was just talking about the Mike Pence interview like 3 weeks ago,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah, I saw that.
I did
he said
not.
he wants. Mike Pence said he wants the files released,
Yes, he did.
He wants to
and
what?
He wants the Epstein files released. I saw that.
Oh,
Mike
I
Pence
didn't
does.
see that.
You know who hasn't come out and said that they should be released? People like Bill Clinton. So, I mean, if he come out and said, yeah, release the files, then I'd feel a little better. Because, I mean, there has to be a good reason why Biden didn't do it. He had the ability for 4 years.
Yep.
So I'm assuming at least one of his friends or his, donors was on there.
Yeah.
Or one of his sons. Well, or his son, maybe.
Who's son?
Joe Biden.
Hmm.
Because,
Hmm.
Hunter.
He
I
got
mean,
clowned on pretty hard for that.
well, that'd be the one that I would expect you to jump on there, AK. The fact that, the Democrats didn't release the files either.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that before in the survey. Like, it's definitely both sides because Biden was in there for 4 years and he has never released the list.
He
Which is
had,
why I said earlier, like, remember when we were having that argument about the was it? It was in Congress. I don't even remember the video, but like, it was over the Epstein thing, and I think the Democrats were voting for. I don't know. I don't remember the exact video, but I just remember it was the Democrats were voting on the Epstein list, and I said that was probably a political ploy because they know the Republicans are going to vote against it because like you have 4 years, 4 years of control over the DOJ and everything. Yet you never released the list. And now you're just gonna be like, oh, let's release the list. It's just like it's just more than a little suspicious. So I thought that vote was definitely a political ploy by the Democrats. And as far as the 4 years that they had to release the files, like we can't deny that's suspicious. It's definitely on both sides.
the only other possibility at all, and I mean, I highly doubt this one, would be that they left them unreleased because they knew that it would hurt Trump if he won. I mean, but that seems really conspiratorial.
At the
It
same
does
time, if
seem
they
conspiracy.
released them during his during Biden's presidency, just like say at the runner up of the election, that would kind of destroy Trump anyway. So like
It
why
Yeah,
wait
it
until he's
makes
president
it
for
makes
him to
no
destroy himself? You
sense.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes no
It just
sense.
like doesn't really make sense to me.
No, yeah.
Do you think there's a chance that Biden didn't have access to the files yet?
I mean, that would make sense. Why does Trump have access now, but Biden didn't for 4 years? And like, what would that thing even happen? It was like 2019, right? Like the
Right, but
2019
also
was
we
at least
have
when he
to.
killed himself.
Right,
Just
but we
like for
also have to take
5 years, he
into account a
never
few
had access to it.
things.
I really
We also
doubt
have to
that.
take we also have to take into account a few things with the Biden presidency. The first 2 years are dealing with the COVID pandemic and the economic fallout of that. On top of that, we're dealing with the major moves of Russia into openly attacking and engaging in warfare with Ukraine. Take that even a step further, still, um, we're it was also dealing with, um, oh hell, there was
Israel.
something else in my brain just kind of farted on me there for a second. So it's like, yeah, well, he was in there for 4 years. Trump has a largely nothing presidency during which he potentially could have released and then maybe didn't because it just got in there. Um, Joe Biden has a rather tumultuous presidency with a whole bunch of shit happening just back to back to back to back to back. And the withdrawal from Afghanistan because Trump started and then didn't follow through, and so Biden was forced to continue the very botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. I mean, so you have all of that happening. I mean, it's easy to point fingers at the Biden administration, and sure, they maybe they had an opportunity, or maybe they had more than one opportunity, but none of us have any way of actually really knowing that, given all that's going on, given all that was going on during that presidency, and all the like different fires that kept having to be put out.
Right.
And then you have Biden's declining health right up through the end of 2023 and on into 2024 until the presidential until the Democratic ticket is just dumped in Kamala's lap with 108 days until the election.
Right.
Uh, I'm sorry, I don't see where the Biden administration actually had an opportunity with which to actually have fully gone through and then release the entirety of the Epstein files.
By
There's
the end of
just
his
True.
presidency, he definitely did because well,
I
I can
don't
say
think
there were fires, especially with
no, because by
Russia
the
and
end of his
Israel.
presidency,
By the end of his
we're dealing
presidency,
with
he
health
certainly had
issues.
time. They were more
By the end
focused
of his
on the election itself and stuff like that.
by the
I
yeah by
remember
the end of
what
his
how much they spent?
presidency, yeah,
About a
yeah,
billion dollars on their election bid. They definitely had time. They
yeah.
certainly put a lot of effort into it. So they had the opportunity. They
No,
certainly could.
they put a few hundred million into essentially propping up Biden as a candidate for a second term, and then it gets dumped into Kamala. You don't see much of that campaign package being rolled out during her bid for election because it was tuned up for Biden, and so it doesn't work for her. So the majority of that money spent is just money lost at that point.
Right.
And so no, it looks like a pathetic showing because well, it wasn't geared for her; it was geared for Joe, and then it never got used. It couldn't be used. So it's just wasted money that no one ever sees the result of. With Biden's failing health starting in mid to late 2023, and that's right as tensions are starting to heat up with Russia specifically, um, to the next stage of dealing with Ukraine and stuff like that. No, there really isn't time
No,
within
I think I'm gonna say
Go
At the
ahead,
very
Alex.
least, with the
this is from
DOJ,
someone
they
who
had
doesn't
time.
like Joe Biden.
Yeah, go
And
ahead,
the
Alex.
DOJ certainly had
Real
time
quick.
for it.
Hold
The
on.
DOJ was run by Democrats at the time, if I remember correctly, yeah. So like even if Biden didn't have time, it isn't like no one could in his administration have time for that.
Uh,
I mean, he did have like a bunch of things going on, but the democratically, what Democrat led DOJ could have, they're not bounded to that all his problems, which Amelia had a lot. He had, I think it was Afghanistan first, and then it was Russia, and
Well,
then
you
it
have,
was Israel, literally back to back, if I remember correctly.
I mean, well, you have COVID that started under the Trump presidency and carried through into 2022. Then you have the economic fallout that's happening during that, and the economic fallout that has continued from that uh, since 2022. So this is just 3 years ago. During that, you also have the invasion of Ukraine. You have the escalations in Ukraine, and then you have the Gaza situation that starts up. And you also have Biden's declining health and cognition. And then you have, because of Citizens United, campaigning for the next election cycle happens a year and a half prior to the election. So starting in mid 2022, he's already having to start campaigning for 2024. Tell me, where in all of that does he have the time? Where in all of that does the Biden administration actually have the time to start completely digging through, vetting, and releasing files as
Well,
explosive as that, as
first
damning
off,
and damaging
we're
as
talking
that.
about the DOJ, which doesn't have to
Yes.
deal with Russia or any of that. The administration as a
No,
whole
they
is
do have to.
like there's compartments to it. Yeah, and also
It's
we can't forget
it's
it's not like
compartmental.
Biden did not have time on his hands entirely. We
one,
all like had the jokes about him falling off his bicycle and stuff like that.
one of the funniest things that I've seen during this whole fallout from this bullshit was when Trump was on TV trying to call this an Obama hoax. I'm like,
Yeah.
all of this happened in your first term. Epstein and Maxwell were arrested. Epstein, he killed himself. Um, all of that happened on your watch. Not Biden, not Obama, you.
Yeah.
So who perpetrated this hoax?
Hey, did you guys all hear about how like Trump's trying to ask for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, but he can get bent.
Yeah. I mean, and Joe Biden, I mean, no matter how it ended, Joe Biden gets zero credit for ending our longest war. Zero.
Well, there's like a huge list of stuff
Oh,
that
we lost
that
AK.
he, yeah, oh, he said he'd be right back.
Okay.
Um anyway, like there's like a huge list of stuff that he's taking credit for, and it's just everything globally like that's been going on. He's like crediting himself for fixing and solving the world's problems cuz he's delusional.
I
Yeah,
mean, he's taking credit for ending a bunch of wars, and basically one of them I know ended because both sides ran out of ammo. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're not
I
going to
mean,
go out there and wage war with sticks and stones at this point.
depends on how committed they are to the fight. At that point, like, let's be real. Um,
Yeah, it's absurd.
Ooh, Deviant has some stuff for us. Deviant
let's
Outcast.
go for it.
All right, this is the first. It says 104. Biden. This is 104. There's going to be four of them. All right,
Okay.
Biden's presidency was very much about restoring stability after Trump and the
Hmm.
pandemic. The Russian
Yes.
invasion of Ukraine wouldn't necessarily be something that would affect the U.S. But due to history and Putin being a war criminal attempting to reinstate the geography of the Soviet Union started to muck around with the Epstein files, creating chaos within the U.S. government, could be seen as unnecessary distraction in the making the U.S. look weak in the eyes of Putin. In times of chaos, you want your government to be a force of calm and reason and stability. That's just one of those truths of history. So yeah, while I have no freaking idea what the reason is or was, I can see that as possibly being one.
Yeah.
That absolutely
Yeah.
does make sense.
Exactly. Like that was the whole premise of Build Back Better was the economic fallout of things like COVID, the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, um, and the while yes no the while the issues in Ukraine with Russia and Putin may not have any direct tie to our Department of Justice, it does impact the executive branch. It does impact international diplomacy. And when you have fires happening on the world stage, let's be real, when you look at it from a purely utilitarian standpoint, which is effectively how a president must look at things at times, a dead pedophile who was convicted and killed, or he's killed himself, whichever, and an incarcerated sex trafficker who are already in custody are not as big of a priority as dealing with what is essentially the spark of the campfire that becomes the inferno of World War III.
And you don't want to try to fight that
This
fire
does
with a squirt gun.
no.
You,
This
you
does not. Now, let me be clear. This does not diminish the horror and suffering of the however many hundreds of young people that were trafficked, enslaved, and sexually abused in that criminal enterprise.
absolutely
None of that
true.
is diminishes anything that happened to them. But when you're given a finite amount of time and a finite amount of mental resources and resources diplomatically and worldwide, you have to make sometimes harsh decisions. And to kind of illustrate that point further, we can take a look at history. In particular, Alan Turing and his invention of Christopher, the first actual computer, the computer that broke the Enigma code. And instead of just ending instead of just trying to end all sinkings of British and Allied ships during World War II by German U-boats, they engaged in what Turing referred to as brutal calculus, where some attacks were allowed to happen and others were stopped because they couldn't allow the Germans to know that they had broken the code. Otherwise, they would just change the code and they'd be back to square one, and maybe the computer could get it right one more time, or maybe it never gets it right again. And so he and his team of mathematicians essentially came up with that term, brutal calculus, that essentially hand selected targets, human lives, to sacrifice to the German war machine in an effort to protect the overall Allied campaign in the European theater. And so you take that principle and apply it to now, while it does not diminish the suffering, while it does not discount the lives lost or lives destroyed by actions like this, when you're trying to prevent World War III, unfortunately, there are going to be casualties in other arenas of American life or American politics, and you just can't avoid that. That is an irrefutable fact of reality.
Oh, well, Deviant, kind of a Deviant Outcast wrote, nah, it's like you said, Drew, it's pragmatism when you weigh the Epstein files versus possible World War III, this time in nuke vision.
Exactly. Because Putin has been playing with his red line policy fast and loose, being as nebulous as he possibly can be as to what action the United States takes that would cross the red line and lead to us engaging in a nuclear shootout.
Well, all of these potential authoritarians around the world that look to Putin, man, they ought to really take a look. How far? I mean, how long's that war been going on now?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be a superpower? I don't know. Doesn't seem like they have the commitment that they need. I have no idea what that war is even for anymore. Oh.
I feel like nukes shouldn't even be allowed.
They are a terrible weapon. I mean, it
They
was
are.
just a few years ago was the anniversary of Hiroshima, just a few days ago.
Yep. And then tomorrow is the anniversary of Nagasaki.
Yep. So
It just seems like it's above and beyond any, like, because we have rules of engagement. And that just seems like it's so far beyond. It's evil, I guess, for lack of a better word. It just seems evil.
our biggest industry on the planet right now is how to kill people, is building things to kill other people. Yeah, Wednesday, 80 years since Hiroshima. Tomorrow, 80 years since Nagasaki. Yep. And growing up as I did with a father who was in the South Pacific, he was actually just off of Okinawa when the first one was dropped. So I had some interesting conversations with my dad. All right. Anything else about these stupid Epstein files? We all agree they need to be released. We all agree that the only thing that needs to be redacted is all the information concerning the victims. And I don't think we're going to get that.
Well, and then there's people still saying that they don't even exist.
I mean, they're contradicting themselves. Pam Bondi said they were on her desk. On
I
her
know.
desk.
But then all
Yeah.
of a sudden it's, oh, they don't exist.
And it's an
Didn't
Along with the tens of thousands of hours of recordings that they have on DVD, which there is photographic evidence that
Oh, yeah.
these DVDs existed.
Oh yeah.
Didn't the Republicans in the Senate the Senate already shoot that down when they voted on it?
Yep, they have blocked it at every single turn.
And then
And then you have
Johnson
and
sent the House home early, so they couldn't even vote on it.
mm-hmm.
Now
and yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was about to say, and it's like, and all of that essentially is distracting from other things.
Well,
I even think that them uh, doing what the dog and pony show with the Epstein files now is honestly to prevent people from paying attention to things like what's happening in my home state of Texas right now.
yeah, the redistricting is a nightmare.
I was gonna mention that the redistricting is a total bullshit, just asinine thing to do. Like, it's just, it enrages me.
Let me say something here really quick. It is weird, that we are the only democracy on the planet that has an electoral college, and we are also the only democracy on the planet that lets the politician choose their voters, not the voters choose their politicians.
Mm-hmm.
We are the only one that does that. They should have nothing to do with drawing the districts. The district should just be, an area that contains roughly the same amount of people. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think redistricting should be done every 10 years, like with the census, and it should be done by a third-party, non-governmental organization,
Right, an independent board.
An independent board that has strict vetting policies to establish political bias, just in general.
Yeah. It just seems
that's how you get a fair playing field.
Right. I mean, to me, if I was in charge of doing the districts, I'd draw as many of them perfectly square as I could and try to make sure that they all had, within a few hundred or 1,000 people, all the same amount of people in them. That's going to lead to some really big squares in places and some that are really small, but then at least they'd be even and you wouldn't care, Democrat or Republican. It's whoever lives in the square.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get
there's other things to think about too with the districting, like having, like, why do people draw lines? And then, like, something that happened near, like, where I'm at, somebody decided that it was a smart idea to draw the district line, even for, like, they tried to draw they did the district line in which my house is outside of the district, but I'm still in the same small town as the school that is the closest to where I live. But I would have to have my kids go to a farther away school because of the way they draw the lines. Even though that, like, it just, I don't know what the point of it was, but it's annoying.
The point of what was?
What the point of drawing the lines like that are? It's like, okay, there's the name of the school is literally like the name of the town, which is where we live. We live in this town, but I have to go to a district. I have to have my children go to a district school that is farther away, even though we should be inside the line.
Okay, so local school districting has essentially nothing to do with, like, federal election districting.
I know, it's just it made me think.
So
it's still a comparison about how the districts are drawn.
It's a comparison. It's like I don't know the reasons and policies by which districts are drawn for school districts and all that. Generally, at least in Texas, is decided at the county level, um, and then sometimes there's input from the local city council of the municipalities that those lines are going to be drawn in.
Well,
As far as like federal election districts, essentially the way they're drawn, or the way they're supposed to be drawn, is that each chunklet of America has as close to exactly 700,000 people in each chunklet. And then you elect from there.
and then they just steer them all over the place to try to catch as many of their party as they can.
Yep, the blatant gerrymandering taking place by the Republicans in in Texas is ridiculous and insane. And Greg Abbott is essentially wanting them to demanding the Democrats come back to Texas so they can incarcerate them and then attempt to vacate their seats,
Right.
based on a bullshit opinion written by Ken Paxton in 2015 that is not legally binding.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
not a
not
law.
recognized by the state legislature.
It's not a law.
It is not a law. It is one dipshit's opinion that happens to be the attorney general,
So-
and he's a shitty attorney general and he's a shitty person.
Well, I'll be honest here. My state right now, if you were to look at our electoral map, we are probably the least gerrymandered we have ever been.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that didn't turn out so great in the last election.
Yeah,
Yep.
you win some, you lose some. But that's the point of drawing these districts in a nonpartisan, just strictly just okay. Here's a chunklet of 700,000 people. Cool. Next one, hey, another 700,000. Cool. Move on from there,
Right.
and just split it up as evenly as possible.
I mean, that old really
and paying no attention to political affiliation.
the gerrymandering being taken care of in 2020 from the last census when we redrew our districts got rid of one of the most gerrymandered districts I've ever seen. It was
Good.
practically a circle. It was, I
Yeah.
mean, around another district almost.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I'm like, that's just not normal right there. But yeah, it got rid of that, and then the election kind of went the other way, and now we are suddenly a purple state.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think that's what most people would come to realize is that if we drew districting with no attention being paid to any sort of party affiliation, that the electoral rolls would not be, or party registrations or affiliations would not be made known to the third party redistrict drawers and whatnot and all that kind of shit. You would find that the majority of states are probably firmly in the purple category. You would be hard pressed to find like hardcore red or hardcore blue states. Everything would be a pretty distinct shade of purple, I think.
Yeah, if they were just divided up by population and not party.
Yeah,
You're right.
and that's how it should be, because then essentially the law of large numbers would essentially take effect, because you've just split everything up as evenly as possible. And so, in the law of large numbers, at least in statistics, the bigger your numbers are, the truer your actual representative end result, your representative statistic is. And so, while there may be a few where it's like, oh, okay, it gets drawn in such a way that more Democrats come out of Texas than Republicans, or more Republicans come out of Connecticut and New York than Democrats. Essentially, it'll be a pretty close to a wash when it comes to the House.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry.
And there's only two Senate districts per state. Those aren't classified by population. It's just there's 2 Senate districts.
Right.
Split the state in half. Just boom, done.
That makes sense.
So, do y'all think we'll ever get rid of the electoral college?
No, we won't.
No, I wish we would, but no.
We effectively won't without a constitutional amendment.
Right.
Well, let me get your predictions out here in public. You think Democrats have a chance in the midterms?
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe.
I would say they have a chance. They really do. They have
I
a
think
chance,
so.
but the big thing that all of them, the big albatross hanging around every one of their necks when they try to go for election in 2026 is they got to stop calling Trump a Nazi. As accurate as the term may be to varying degrees,
It pisses people off.
referring to the Velveeta Voldemort as Hitler reincarnated, or
His vice
or
president said that.
I know, as Hitler reincarnated, or 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 just a 21st century Nazi. You're If you're saying stuff like that, you're gonna lose centrist voters. I'm not saying you're going to lose me per se,
I,
because
But a
I do
lot
this
of
real more.
people,
I do this real moron thing people don't like that I do called thinking, um, and I can read between the lines on what people say and say that, and understand that they're using a pejorative to make a point of there are a lot of parallels between actions being taken and what has happened in the past. I can see those things and I can think critically about that. We don't teach that in school anymore. Why? Republican control the Department of Education mostly, but that's neither here nor there. But ultimately, you're going to lose a lot of your centrist voters.
well, there's a
You
lot of
just are.
people who are pretty angry about um, the broken promises that Trump made.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that may
you're not
sway
going to
people
you're not going to win them
to.
over by calling him a Nazi.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that people may already kind of
They might,
met,
they
be
might, but
swayed to vote differently.
yeah,
here's the thing.
the Democrats need a new message.
Yeah, they really need a new message, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Farm, but I got to get this one point out. Otherwise, I'm going to forget, and I think it's actually pretty salient to this. The reason why Kamala Harris lost is because, one, she had no campaign to run, and two, because the majority of centrist voters stayed home. Why? Because she was using the only playbook she had, which was the Biden Orange Man Bad playbook. It worked for Biden because Biden had political capital he could cash in and keep cashing in, because he had 4 decades of background on Capitol Hill. Harris didn't have that. Fast forward to 2026. Nobody running for a federal elected office, at least as Democrat. If they're running for re-election, it's because they got beaten by a Republican. That's already an uphill battle. Or they're coming in as a freshman, from a lower elected office or no other elected office at all. That's already going to be an uphill battle. They don't have any incumbency, um, uh, name recognition to cash in on, and ultimately, the messaging is going to be to get your disenfranchised Republican voters and your centrists to the ballot box. They are going to be the ones who decide the next election. They're going to be the ones who decide 26. They're going to decide 28. We know this because they're the ones that decided 2024. People didn't get out and voted for Kamala Harris because it was a bad campaign.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah, she didn't have enough time.
no, she
Plus,
didn't.
No,
She had no
plus,
time and no political capital.
and that we can blame the time thing. We can blame on Joe Biden because
Yes.
when he came into office, he was going to be a one and done president. That's what they said,
Mm-hmm.
and
so
then
who do
he
y'all
changed
think?
his mind.
I'm sorry.
Go
Who do
ahead,
y'all think is gonna run on the Republican ticket?
In
Vance.
28. In 28.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I mean, I
I don't think
figured
it. I don't
I
think it'll be
kind of thought
Vance.
Vance would run, but
Mm-mm. I
I don't
don't
know.
think
What
it'll
do
be
you
Vance.
think?
I
Well,
think it's gonna be Mike Johnson.
at that
I think
point
it'll
they're
be
going.
Mike Johnson.
It probably will, but at that point they're going to have a primary. So,
They are.
and
Well, I mean,
preferably some debates.
there's probably going to be 20 or more candidates initially.
So there are a few that I guarantee you are gonna try to throw their hat in the ring. There's gonna be a few. One, you're gonna see your frequent flyers of Jeb Bush, of Jeb Bush, and I think Marco Rubio it was, and Ted Cruz. Those three are going to be in there. Fourth one, I think, is probably going to be Greg Abbott. He might try to go for a fourth term as governor. I don't know. I think he might try to throw his hat in the ring for presidency in 2028. Because as bad as things are starting to go now, once midterms happen in Texas in 26, that's going to decide. I think that's going to decide whether Greg tries to run the Republican primary. And then you're going to have Mike Johnson and J.D. Vance. I don't think J.D. Vance is going to poll well. He's just there's nothing there.
Right.
And I also think Pete Hegseth might try to throw his hat in the ring because I think he will. I think he will. I also think until the whole scandal blew up in his face, I honestly thought Matt Gaetz was going to try to make a run in 28. But I don't think he's going to be on the primary ticket anywhere at all. He's not going to be within 100 miles of that thing.
You really think Jeb is gonna run?
Yeah, I think Jeb will try to run. If Jeb is not so decrepit and downtrodden from being a multi-time loser, going all the way back to when his brother ran for president in 2000, I think that 2028 will be his last attempt.
You think Chris Christie will try again?
Oh God,
I don't think he will. I don't think Christie will try again. I do think that Donald Trump Jr. might make a play for it. I think DJT Jr. will probably make a play for it.
Is he even old enough?
Yeah, he's old enough.
Yeah, he's
40 something.
Yeah, he's like 40 or 42. Yeah. Donald J. Trump Jr. Yeah, he's like 42.
So who you think is going to be on the Democratic side?
I think Pete Buttigieg might be a strong candidate.
I say him, Shapiro, probably Cory Booker.
I think Fetterman will try and make a play.
Fuck
he won't win, but he'll try.
Fuck Fetterman.
What did you say, Rat?
AOC.
Oh yeah, maybe.
No, I don't think she'll make a play for it. I really don't.
Not this time around. I honestly don't.
No,
think so
if any of the quote unquote gang girl squad or whatever the hell it was called, I think if any of them are going to try, it'd be Rashida Tlaib. Elizabeth Warren might try again. Although I don't know if she'll try to run as a Democrat or stay with the Greens.
Oh, there's somebody I was thinking of, and then I just lost the name. But I was thinking that Jasmine Crockett.
She won't as badly.
I know, but she would
badly as.
She'd be pretty cool.
Well, she wouldn't be.
After his performance in the Senate, I do believe that Cory Booker's going to be on that stage.
I think he will.
Crockett?
What's wrong with Jasmine Crockett? As someone who is both a Texas resident and has friends who lived in the district that she was a representative for, she was an incredibly unliked person.
I like her.
None of her constituents like her, and they're the ones who elected her before her district was absorbed, or is potentially going to be absorbed. So it's like, yeah, she may get up and go and go rah 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 sis boom bah, but when it comes to actually doing something, she doesn't do a damn thing. She will yell from the rooftops, but she won't try to put pen to paper. And it has been a routine complaint out of her district.
All right. So real quick, if we only flip one part of Congress, Trump is still safe.
Yes.
The only way that anything's ever going to happen is if we flip them both. If the Democrats flip them both, then he will be impeached and it will go through. I almost promise that.
Potentially, yeah. It depends on what Democrats get elected, and depends on how much of a majority we can get.
Right.
Because if we can't get enough of a flip in the Senate, you'll have Senate Republicans that are doing everything they can to prevent. They'll essentially filibuster and prevent a cloture vote.
This politics has gotten uglier in the last 20 years than it has been in my entire life.
Agreed.
Just it's gotten
It's got
ugly.
it's gotten uglier in the last 12
This
than
is
it's
true.
been in my entire life. Like since the 2012 election, like since Romney Obama, it has been bad and nothing but bad.
Yeah, there's a lot more avenues for the campaign slandering,
Hmm.
um, all the social
Ever since
media.
ever since Citizens United, Citizens United and fucking Facebook, man.
Facebook,
Like Citizens United, Facebook, and Twitter because I refuse
Twitter.
to call it X. Like
Yeah, I know. I'm the
those three
same way.
things, those three things have just been anathema to public discourse. YouTube is not much better, but it's not as instantaneous in its feedback as things like Twitter and Facebook, and so people don't get that instant dopamine hit as much as they do
And
with those two. And so
and
YouTube is been a better
YouTube's it's
avenue
fair
for discourse.
it's fairly more balanced on YouTube as well because you have both sides putting out content, with Twitter.
You have both sides putting out content, but as someone who actually followed the algorithm issues and stuff like that in the mid 2010s, there were distinct pieces of evidence shown that did show that YouTube was deliberately downplaying overall conservative content, not alt right content, just overall conservative content. Period. And so that led to a lot of divisiveness. That's what's led to what I think are the current major echo chambers on YouTube.
Well, now we have Musk creating his own echo chambers with the fucking AI.
Oh, Grok, yeah, yeah. Grok that turned into Mecha Hitler after 24 hours. That was funny as hell.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, and now, what was that executive order that Trump signed or something about us becoming AI? And they want to. Oh my God, they wanted something about not censoring them anymore. I can't remember. I didn't read that one. Damn it! All I saw was the thing on the news. But yeah, they basically want uncensored AIs, and I think that's going to go bad. I mean, you can turn any of those AIs into a racist in a short conversation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
So the executive orders issued. There's preventing woke AI in the federal government. Requires agencies to procure large language modules that adhere to quote unbiased AI principles, truth seeking and ideological neutrality, aiming to remove perceived ideological bias from federal AI procurement, accelerating federal permitting of data center infrastructure to streamline environmental reviews and permitting for large scale AI data centers, power infrastructure and component manufacturing facilities by leveraging existing exemptions and creating new ones aiming to expedite construction, and then promoting the exportation of the American AI tech stack
Ah,
globally by fostering industry led consortia and providing federal support to develop and deploy U.S. full stack AI export packages.
all right. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping this up. We've been on for 2.5 hours.
Yep, I'd say so.
So I really appreciate you guys all joining me to discuss these Epstein files. This has been fun. Um, I have no idea where this is actually going to go. I'll have to just
Me either.
wait and see.
And maybe we'll have another discussion about it.
We sure could.
I think we should. Yeah.
Yeah, we can maybe do another one of these soon. Sounds good to me.
And
Yeah.
thank you all for coming. And all of the YouTube chat. Thank you for joining in. And
We appreciated all of the questions and comments,
oh, yes,
and we
absolutely.
incorporated many of them.
Yes, everybody is welcome.
All right. Well, then I will sign us out here real quick.
Please
Everybody
don't
have
forget
a
to like, subscribe, and comment.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to
Love you
like,
guys.
subscribe, share, comment, everything. You know, it helps
Yep.
with the algorithm. So,
Smash that subscribe
help
button like it owes you money.
oh, and
help
AK just
help
came back and
our
we're ending.
it'll help our little channel grow.
We're trying to grow this channel and we could use all the help we can get. If you or anyone you know needs a place to have a debate that's a neutral platform, please contact us. So,
Yes. We
we
will host anybody.
we
We aren't you don't have to have experience debating. We kind of like to platform people to help give people the opportunity to gain experience. So that's kind of what we've been about since the beginning. If you don't know, we started doing this mainly for the purpose of giving people an opportunity who weren't being given opportunities. So yeah, reach out to us.
yes.
Join the Discord. Um, yeah.
Yeah, some of the other debate channels on YouTube and other places require you to have a debate that they can look at to see if you're a good debater. How are you going to get that if they don't let you on? You come here to Let's Debate. That's what you do.
Or some require you to have video,
Well,
like your
we have
camera on.
no
We don't
cameras
require
required.
that.
Nope.
So
So,
anyway, thank you all.
all righty. I would like to thank everybody for coming tonight. And don't forget to hit that like button, share, sub, all of that. And we will catch you on the next Let's Talk or Let's Debate. Thank y'all for coming.
Night.
Night, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Goodbye.